Have you been able to confirm Tyson indeed has that interest in pulling out if this litigation continues?
Well, we saw the letter that Tyson sent to some of their growers, and do you blame them? If they lose this, or if they're required to pay $100 million when they did everything right, they had the correct permits, right, and then they can't put any more poultry litter down anywhere in the watershed, they're not going to take that risk. There's just less risk elsewhere, so of course they would pull out. So yeah, I've seen the letter that they've sent to all their growers.
What accountability is necessary here then?
Well, first off, if we need to tighten up on the poultry application, then let's do that through legislation, the EPA. The state of Oklahoma follows everything that the EPA says, and we actually put more teeth in the fining process if we need to through the U.S. Department or through the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture. So that's not even the issue. The issue is we've got an attorney general that's attacking farmers right now in eastern Oklahoma for the benefit of trial attorneys.
Governor, you also heard from the farmers today. They spoke out. They were emotional. They said, we're going to lose everything if we don't get this fixed. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, I mean, it was very it's just heartfelt, very touching. We heard these farmers and these family farms here in eastern Oklahoma that they're raising their family here in eastern Oklahoma, and literally they put their life savings. A lot of times they've taken loans from banks, and they'll lose everything if they lose their contracts to grow. And again, they love the environment. This is where they grew up. This is where they love. They're raising their family here, and they're following, I just want to reiterate that, they're following the EPA's and the state of Oklahoma's permitting process. They have been for decades, and we've got trial attorneys coming in saying, well, it's not enough. You owe us all this money. It's ridiculous.
Fundamental disagreement between you and Attorney General Drummond.
We need to dismiss this case immediately. Remember, why are they being sued? Why are they being sued? Ask yourself that. If you have a proper permit, how can you sue that company? That's what I don't understand. Furthermore, they're not suing the local farmers. They're suing the big, huge industries over in another state because they've got the billions of dollars, the big balance sheet. This is an absolute shakedown by our trial attorneys and our attorney general.
What does it tell you?
It tells me that they're trying to be anti-business, and I am being pro-business.
What does Drummond tell you why he pushes forward?
You'll have to ask him that. I have tried to intervene in this lawsuit. I've tried to get in. I would settle this like that. I would get this thing settled, dismissed. The uncertainty that's gone on for over 2 decades, 20 years, these family farms don't know if they should expand, if they should move, what's going to happen. The uncertainty is unbelievable for business. And we need to protect our family farmers. They grow our food, the proteins that they produce here, and it's not just chicken farmers. This is about hay. These are about people that put fertilizer on their fields for hay. These are cattle ranchers that rely on this. So it goes way beyond just the chicken industry.
Governor, whatever else happens, Mr. Drummond will not be the Attorney General of Oklahoma after January 11, 2027. I realize that's a long way off, but this lawsuit, if it goes on, is going to go publicly appeal.
Well,
okay. So does the outcome of this depend on the next Oklahoma Attorney General's race?
Well, it's my understanding that the federal judge or the judge that has this may decide on it at any time. I don't know. But then it would certainly be appealed because you can't sit on a case for 15 years that makes no sense and then bring this back. But that's why it's so important. Elections matter, and that's why we need to look at who we're electing as the next Attorney General. Because, yeah, this thing needs to be dismissed. This needs to be put away. Again, if I was in this case, I would have this case settled tomorrow. I'm sorry? I would go sit down with the poultry industry, and we would come up with a reasonable solution that we would protect our family farms, not drive them out of Oklahoma. Well, I'm not going to go into the details, but I would have this thing settled tomorrow, but the judge wouldn't let me in.
So in the 15 to 20 years that this case has been rolling, what has environmentally changed in the watersheds that you can guarantee the people that were saying sometimes the algae blooms and all these things that 20 years ago people were talking about? What has changed in that 20 years that you say, hey, let's stop this?
Well, Arkansas and Oklahoma have got together and they've done a pact on chicken litter in the watershed. And again, I like to remind everybody, if we think we need to tighten that up, You go through the process with the Department of Ag, with the EPA, and you change the permit. But just like my example, you can't go back to someone who graduated from high school 20 years ago and say, well, we think you should have an extra math class. You really didn't graduate. That's what they're trying to do, these trial attorneys. They're playing Monday morning quarterback. These companies have a permit, and they had a permit 20 years ago. If they're doing something wrong, then let's make sure we hold them accountable. But you can't tell me that they owe $100 million. That's going to bankrupt all of eastern Oklahoma. And you think about the school districts that rely on ad valorem taxes, you think about the teacher's salary, all of that is really problematic when you put trial attorneys in charge of going after companies. I'm the pro-business governor, and this is not pro-business.
Baker and Hilbert accountable in any way for knowingly polluting?
If they have a permit, absolutely not. They should not be held accountable for anything. They've done everything right. If they violate the permit, absolutely hold them accountable. We actually passed a law that gave more teeth on the fining side in the Department of Agriculture to actually fine them if they're not administering the fertilizer properly, but they test the soil, right? They do all the stuff that's required. And again, if we as Oklahomans or Americans that say, hey, we need to change that application process, then let's do that. And then the permits would change and they have to follow the new permits. But you can't come back and tell me after I have a lawful license to do this and then try to put me out of business because I was following the rules after I've already took out a loan, I've already established myself. That is anti-American. That's big government coming in. That's not who we are as Oklahomans.